What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Trick 10s. Today, we're working on a 2016 1648 Tracker Grizzly. Now, the guy that owns this boat lives in New Jersey. I'm in Virginia Beach, so that's a good 8-hour drive from here. On a good day, if you hit that tunnel traffic, you might be looking at twice that. I don't know. But the bottom line is that the distance between me and the guy that owns this boat was enough for him to decide, hey, I would like to do some of this stuff myself instead of taking the trip and bringing it to you. And on top of that, the same time, Austin was working in New Jersey. Now, Austin only has one trip back to New Jersey for 2 weeks. And the kicker about this project is that it's Tuesday and Austin's last trip starts Wednesday. So I have to give him this boat on Tuesday because he's worked it out with the customer to where he's going to bring it to him in New Jersey and I got to have everything done. And that gives me 1 week. And I got a lot of stuff to do. Now, originally, he bought a transom hatch and a bench kit hatch. He took the boat to a local shop and they were going to install it for him. They did install the floor pieces inside of the back bench. I'm going to show you guys that in just a second. I'm going to show you what they did to the rig. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to the rig. You guys know how this works. I'm going to turn this camera around. Let's get right into it. All right, so check it out, guys. 1648 Tracker Grizzly. I know this boat inside and out, probably better than the people that put it together originally. Now, he's got this desert colored sea deck in here. It's not terrible. He's going to remove this because he's going to end up eventually painting the whole boat. He wants to do a full Trick 10s build. The only difference is I'm not going to do the entire build. He's going to get some people local to him to do some of the paint and some other stuff. But check it out. What we've got here is, this is the transom hatch. Now, I built this for him a month or so ago, and these two hatches right here are for the bench kit hatch. Now, this whole kit is ready to go. The people that worked on this boat already got the floor in here. Now, I think he actually cut these holes and dug the foam out of here, and they painted it some crazy, like, greenish yellow color. It almost looks like they painted it yellow first and then came back and lightly sprayed it with green. I'm not exactly sure what is going on with that. But as you can see, they did install these side leveler pieces. And I mean, honestly, they did a pretty good job. They also installed these pieces on the back, which I normally just rivet a lot of this stuff together, but they welded everything. And I'm not mad at them because they did a pretty good job. Now, he was kind of upset about it, but the reality of it is I checked measurements in here on, different sides, and everything works out to where they did a pretty good job installing it and making it level, making it flush. They even welded the floor pieces inside of here. I mean, I think that's pretty dope, to be honest with you. The only reason I don't weld them is because of the reason that he's kind of upset about. It burns through, and it will leave marks like this on your boat. Now, you got to be careful when you're welding on a boat. It's not going to get painted because you're going to have issues like that. Now, that one, that's a little bit over excessive right there. He's got a lot of burn through, and it's kind of concave right there, but not the end of the world. I'm going to try to weld that up and fix that up for him, sand it down. And at this point, he decided that it's time to go ahead and paint the entire boat. He also has a company near him that's going to put some type of marine matting in here. I think it's even going to be CNC cut, so it's pretty dope. But not only are we going to install these 3 hatches back here temporarily, because he's going to have to remove them, he's going to paint inside of here, and then he's going to get the whole thing scanned and turf, but we're just going to put these in with a couple of rivets. Now, we are going to build him a rod locker, and these trackers are a humongous pain in the ass because the foam that's in here sucks, and in order to put a rod locker in, well, we're going to have to cut a hole in this front vertical wall right here, and we're going to have to put some type of sleeve piece inside of there, because the game plan is that we're going to build a rod locker on this side right here, and then we're going to come back off this original deck about 20 inches, and we're going to have a big hatch over here. So in order to do that, I have to install these angle pieces on the side of the rig that are going to make up the difference between this not being 90 degrees. I've got those made right here. I did bring home a bunch of stuff. I'm on a short time period, so I didn't really have time to clean up. I just finished this boat literally last night, and it's about 10 o'clock tonight when I'm getting started on this. So these are the pieces we got. You can see they're overbent, and those are the ones that are going to mount on the side. And we got some 90-degree angles here. We got some tubing, all types of stuff, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to install this first piece on the side. That way it's going to come back flush with the original deck and back bench. And then we're going to frame off of that about 12 inches probably. But the main thing I got to do is get that framing done, because I got to build 2 more hatches for him. The rod locker hatch and the one that's going to be in his storage hatch. And I got to get those done ASAP, because I got to get them powder coated. These hatches in here are already powder coated. But like I said, I built these, a month or so ago. And the issue about building these hatches and getting them powder coated is I don't powder coat in house. So I got to get them done ASAP, like tomorrow, so that I can send them to the powder coaters at least by Friday, because they're only going to have a couple of days to get these things powder coated and back to me by this weekend or first of the week before Austin takes this thing back to Jersey. Now, the other company did do a little bit of welding up here. He had something mounted up here on the side, so they filled in these holes and welded them up solid. And same thing down here, but we're going to remove these handles for him. And we definitely have to remove at least that one, because that's where the rod locker is going to be. Probably take these off of here and just throw them in the back. He can mount them wherever he wants. But one thing I noticed about this rig, and I was just like, wow, this is not a good thing. But look, those are not transom tie-down straps, guys. Those are docking lines. He's got one on either side. And he trailered this thing here for 8+ hours like that. The issue with this is it's not tight. I mean, look, you got movement between the trailer and the boat, and that's how issues happen and how your boat gets messed up. Not to mention that, but also up here on the bow, this thing is not cranked up as tight as it could be. It's got a little bit of slack in it, but that's not the big issue. The big issue is this thing. It actually has a gap in between the roller. And when I started moving it, I noticed that the trailer is moving without the boat. So this thing needs to be sucked up tight up in here, and we're going to see if this is still not touching, because if it's not, then we need to adjust this. It probably needs to slide back a little bit. It needs to rest on that, because if it doesn't, what it's going to do is put excess force up in here, and he's already trailered this thing a long distance, but no damage was done. So everything's good, but we definitely got to address the trailer, and we also have to address these back straps right here. I'm not sending this thing back to him like that. All right, so real quick, before we get into the hyperlapse and I start framing in here, I want to show you guys this. This is the transom kit right here, and this is the bench kit right here. Now, the way this works is pretty dope, because you can see these hatches line up pretty good. Now, the only thing about this bench kit, I did change this, and I'm offering this in a 19x19 instead of a 20x20. And that gives you a little bit more play in here, because if you look at this, you can see that it overlaps a little bit, and it's not a huge deal. We are just going to cut a little bit more out of this inside of here and slide this hatch up, and it'll fit fine. But look how this works. Tons of storage inside of here, and we're going to mount batteries inside of there. Now, this is pretty simple. This is the easiest thing you could do to your Tracker Grizzly to add storage and a place to house your batteries, is to install our bench kit and the transom kit. Well, this thing's pretty dope too, because now you've got a hatch that closes this off. You do have to install these leveler pieces. You can do it without welding them, but it looks really dope. And I just wanted to share that with you guys and show you how this works. Now, this hatch has a little bit of play in it, because I make it a little bit smaller than the distance this way. So you still got room to shoot rivets through here, but there is like a 1/4 inch gap between the actual bench seat and where this drop-in hatch starts. Now that I showed you guys this, I'm going to start framing. I'm going to take a piece of 1.5 inch by 1/8 inch angle. This is the first step. If you guys want to extend your deck or start building off the front of these Grizzlies, you're going to take a piece of 1.5 inch angle, well, just like this, 1/8 inch thick, and you're going to put it flush up against the front of this deck. And you're going to cut these angles right here back at like a 70 degree. That's about what this is right here. And we can shoot rivets through here. A bunch of rivets, at least 6, 7, 8, whatever you can fit in there, because you need to make this strong. And then we're going to come back and we're going to run our bent piece across the side, and then we'll figure out our framing across there for our other hatch. But I just want to share that with you guys. I'm going to put you all on the hyperlapse. I'm going to get some of this framing done, and then I'll tell you all how I did it. Let's get back to work. All right, guys, so we got this piece installed on the side right here. Now, this piece is the overbent piece of angle. This is basically like a 3 by 1.5 aluminum angle. I put some rivets in here, and this is dropped down 1/8 of an inch from the original top on the side panel. That way, once we drop the hatch in here, the hatch is gonna sit flush with it. Now, what I did from that, I brought this all the way up to the front, and I notched it so that it could fit with the existing angle we already had up here. I'll come back and weld that later. And that piece has about 8 rivets shot through it. And then I temporarily set up this piece of 1.5 by 1.5 angle up here just so I can figure this out. Now this drop in is gonna be like 10.5 inches. I already made this hatch today. Thankfully, I gotta take this thing to the powder coaters tomorrow, but this is a 10.5 inch wide hatch. And this angle I got up here, it's gotta be flipped over so that it can go downward instead of coming up on the face like it is right now. And then it can attach to the floor angle with a sheeting that's going to cover this side right here. But this hatch is 10.5 inches by 48 inches. And then up here in the front, we're going to have another hatch. We could have sheeting, but we're going to have a hatch up there. And when I put this angle up here, I set this up at 13.5 inches. And then up in this front area, we're gonna put another divider wall in here, and that's gonna run all the way down the rod locker. And that's basically just gonna blank off that rod locker, keep it separate from our other hatch. Now coming across with the 13.5 inches, that leaves me a 10.5 inch drop in, and that's what I wanted to go with. Now this hatch right here, it drops right into this area, and this is gonna be perfect for his rod locker. It's 4 foot long, and that will allow him to fit his rods in there pretty easily. Now, you can see where I got my mark on here. I pulled this thing back. That's at exactly 13.5 inches. Now, I am going to have to come back on this existing bench. I'm going to come up and then back, and I'm going to shoot some rivets through another angle so I have something to catch this hatch up against the back bench. But this is a good size hatch, and it should be easily accessible to get rods in and out of without a whole lot of troubles. Now, I brought it over 13.5 inches for a 10.5 inch drop in, 1.5 inches on either side for my framing. It's pretty simple. Now the area up in front of this, we could put a sheet in here, but I actually talked to the customer and he agreed that he wants to have another hatch in there. So what we're gonna do is build a hatch. It's about 23 inches by 10.5, and we're gonna drop that in. It's gonna have a shallow pan on the bottom of it. It's gonna be about 3 inches deep. This is basically just gonna be like a day box or a catch-all box or just a place to keep his call tags or whatever he wants to put inside of here, his phone and wallet. That's exactly what it's gonna be. So I gotta build that one. I might have to ship that one to him because I don't know if I have time to finish that one up and get it off with Austin. All right, so basically last night with these 2 pieces in here, it allowed me to figure out the distance I was gonna have left from the side piece over, and I wanna bring this back about 20 inches. We're actually gonna go 19. That's gonna give us a 16-inch drop in. So all I did was measure my distance from this angle that I staged up to the side of the boat, which was 45 inches. Subtracted 3 inches, so we're gonna have an 1.5 inch lip on both sides, which is what the hatch track frame has on it, and then I'll be able to figure out the rest. So I can adjust this to make it fit, but this measurement and that hatch measurement on the width are both very critical to figuring this out. And luckily I stayed a little late today and made both of these hatches. So this one is gonna drop in just like this, and it fits perfectly. And the cool thing about this is it's very minimal framing. I'm gonna have another piece of that same overbent angle. I've got 2 8-foot sticks over here I made, and I'm just gonna cut it to 19 inches, install it on this side, and then once I get that angle flipped over and welded in place, I'll take another piece of the 1.5 inch angle and sister it up against it and shoot rivets through that. Then I'll cut a piece of angle across the face and I will weld it on both sides, and that will frame in the rest of this hatch. But that's a good size hatch. It's a 16 by 42, and he's still gonna have access to get up into the existing storage area in the vertical right there, and he'll have lots of room inside of here for tackle or whatever. I mean, these Tracker Grizzlies come with 0 storage, and this is a gigantic storage hatch. It's very useful in a boat this size. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna put you guys back on the hyperlapse, and I'm gonna get that angle installed permanently and kind of go through everything I just told you that I was gonna do and how I'm gonna install this. And after I get that finished, the hardest part is gonna be removing this damn C-deck off the bottom of the boat, because this same angle frame that we have on the top, we have to duplicate it on the bottom with a couple of verticals coming up, maybe 3 on that side and 2 or 3 on this side. That's going to support this from him standing on it, and it's also going to give me a place where I can run my sheet. Now on the floor, I'm going to lay a piece of 1.5" angle flat on the floor and sticking up, and that will be right in line with this angle on the top. That gives me something to attach the sheet into across the face and across the face down the rod locker. It's pretty simple to do. It's not rocket science. I'll show you the framing once I get it all finished. I just wanted to make these hatches and bring them home so that I can double check and make sure that all this stuff is right, because tomorrow's Friday. And I'm taking these hatches back to the shop. Still got to drill the holes in them for mounting, and this one's actually going to get pistons on it. I'm going to put dual pistons on both sides of it, so it'll hold it up about like that when it's open, because this is a big hatch. And you may not want to lay it all the way back, because it's actually probably going to run into his seat. It's that seat pole right there. So this one's getting the pistons in it. That one's done. I did put drain tubes in both of them. I just got to get the holes for mounting in them. I'll take them to the powder coaters, and hopefully I can pick those up on Monday, Tuesday at the latest, because Austin leaves on Wednesday around 10 to 12 o'clock, sometime in that ballpark. And chances are I'm probably going to have to give him this boat on Tuesday. So we'll see. I'm going to put you guys back on the hyperlapse. Let's get back to work. Alright guys, so I got all of this foam dug out of here. Now, tracker foam is the absolute worst foam out of any boat I've ever had to dig out. Now, it was water standing down here in the bottom, and majority of the foam that was up here, which you don't normally see, was soaking wet. I mean, like, there was more water up here than there was down here. So that means that this water was seeping through this deck, sitting on here, and it waterlogged this more so than water getting down here in the floor, which either way, it's not a good thing. It's not something you want to have in your boat, but we did it. Now this is kind of one of those things where I've done so many of these trackers, and I always remember how shitty it is to dig this foam out of here, but once you get into it and you start really scraping it and pulling it out of here, because I mean, this is what I use, this pry bar right here, and I hit it with a Sawzall, like an 8-inch blade, and I just cut as deep as I can into a grid, and then I use the pry bar, prop it out, and literally just take it out in cubes, big cubes as possible. The farther you get up inside of there, the harder it is. It's a whole lot easier when you come down from the top, but this is a nightmare. I always remember how crappy it is until I actually get into it, and I'm just like, God, why am I doing this again? Tell the customer to do this, Matt. You got better stuff to do than dig this crappy ass foam out of here. I'm gonna try to get a little bit more of this foam on this right side out of here, but I had to take a break from this. I finally got to the destination of the deepest point I wanted to get to, which basically puts us around 8 feet. Let's see what we got. So we put this up against the closest piece of foam. Then back here, well, we're at right about 97 inches. That's good. That's what we want. Customer said that his biggest rods are about 8 feet long, so if I can keep this pan up inside of here and back to this bench at 87 inches, he should be able to fit an 8-foot rod inside of there. This is not fun. Like, it sucks. If you guys want to do something like this, I suggest that you put a hatch up here, just like the hatch we're putting here. It's like a shallow hatch. You put another one right here. It's just gonna be a shallow hatch, and that will give you access to get in here. And it's a hell of a lot easier to get this foam out from above it instead of trying to work up in here through the side, because you just don't have any room, and it's a nightmare. But it's done. I mean, still got a little bit to pull out, but for the most part, it's done. So now I'm gonna figure out a sleeve piece that's gonna fit in here. I'm gonna build this in pieces. I'm probably gonna build like a channel. It's gonna drop right in the bottom and slide up the bottom. And then once I get that in there and set it in, then I'll measure my heights, because it's going to taper up a little bit, because the boat, it starts to roll up in the front right there. It's like a semi-V up top. So we're going to have to make this, you know, taper up at an angle, and then these side panels are just going to follow that same taper. And that's going to be a piece that's removable so that I can put a couple rivets in it, and then once he gets this boat back, he can pull that piece out, turf it, shove it in there, and then he can pick up his turf from there throughout the rest of this rod locker or carpet or whatever he's going to do in there. But that piece needs to be made now, and it needs to be made removable so he can pull it back and slide it into the rod locker, and he can finish off the whatever flooring he's going to put in there at a later date. I'm going to put you guys back in the hyperlapse. I'm going to try to build that, and then we'll get back on to framing and removing all this sea deck, which is going to be a nightmare also. Not looking forward to that either, but we're running out of time, guys. It is Saturday night, about 11 o'clock. And we have to have this thing done by Tuesday night and give this boat to Austin. Let's get back to work. All right, guys, so check it out. Now, I'm going to go ahead and let y'all know that I'm hurting. I've got something going on my back. It's an ongoing problem in my shoulder. It's like when you get a Charlie horse in your leg and your toes are all curled up under the bed. You got to reach down there to straighten out your toes. Well, I feel like that right in the middle of my right shoulder blade. And I went to the chiropractor today, and it sounded like a snare drum. He probably cracked 100 different joints, but it hurts, man. And it's been bothering me for a week, and it just will not go away. It's not like something I can move and get into a position where it doesn't bother me. It bothers me all the time. And I'm hoping it'll go away soon, because it usually lasts about a week or two. But anyways, this parental advisory, guys, I'm not in a good mood. But this is fuckboy work right here. I'm not a fuckboy. Don't bring me this shit to do. I don't want to do this. I don't. It's just me doing this stuff. So I thrive on doing new construction, doing street layouts, doing outside the box stuff. But this is fuckboy work. This should not have come to me. One thing that I noticed out of the gate, once I started pulling up this extremely hard to get up sea deck, is that this floor in here is not stock. Now, I don't know if this guy put this floor in here or not. I can't remember, but whoever did use the same damn drive nails that were in here originally, which I don't understand. And you can see like where these areas are at, like this, that have this glue on it, and then you got the shiny metal. Well, this turf was not the sticky back turf. This turf was installed with some type of like liquid nails or something. I don't know. Maybe it was a sticky back and they just put extra adhesive in here. But I'll tell you this much, it's a fucking nightmare to get out of here. Literally a nightmare. It took me a little over an hour just to remove that one strip right there that's like 70 some inches. Are you kidding me? Like, I ain't got an hour to do that. And it wasn't like an hour of, sitting back chilling. No, it's an hour of scraping, hitting this thing 1,000 times with a damn, 5-in-1, just to try to gain 1/8 of an inch, maybe a 1/4 inch every time you hit it. Pulling with the other hand, it's a fucking nightmare, man. Like, oh man, I gotta get this thing done. It's Sunday night. It's like 9 o'clock, and I got this other rig over here that Austin and I are working on tomorrow and Tuesday. This thing needs to be done. I was hoping this would be done today, but my shoulder was killing me, so I got a late start. Anyways, I had to get this up because I got to mount this angle on the floor, and this customer knew about this. He did, because when I got into it and I started working on it, I sent him a picture of the layout of these two hatches, and he was like, yeah, just make sure that you pull that foam up off the bottom before you install the angle in there on the floor, because I don't want that underneath there. Then why the fuck didn't you take it out? I don't want to dig this shit up either. I didn't put that into my budget, but I mean, you're obviously going to have to pay for that. That's an hour of my time right there, and I still got to go across here. And the reality of it is, this isn't even really clean enough for me to install that angle. It's still got little pieces of turf on it, all over the place, that I'm going to have to come back with a grinder and clean that up. I don't want to cut across there and do that one too, because it's going to be a nightmare. It is what it is, guys. Anyways, whew. gonna take a break for a second. I'm gonna go ahead and start putting these angle framing in here. Now I was gonna build this piece up in here and get that done, but I started thinking about it and trying to figure out how I was gonna do it, and I realized that this cut right here, it's not exactly perfect, and I can't make that exactly perfect until I get this angle installed across here and put the floorboard on there, because I don't want this to stick out farther than my wall of this vertical wall down right here, because if it does, well, the vertical wall is going to die here. Then you're going to have a 1/2 inch or 1 inch, or I don't know, any type of anything hanging over here is going to catch your rod tips. So it needs to be flush going all the way down. So I need to get these 2 pieces of angle installed in here so that I have a mark of where that's going to be before I make this bottom piece of the pan that's going to sleeve up inside of this front deck. Anyways, guys, we're going to get some of this shit done. Let's get back to work. All right, so moving right along. Now, my batteries are dead, so I made this piece off camera, but I just don't have time to wait. Austin came over today, and he cut this holes and stuff, got this rig ready to go, so tomorrow morning, we got to turf that boat to finish that project up, and I got to get this one done because he wants to take this with him tomorrow evening, so still got a lot to do, but this piece is done. The way it is pretty simple. The bottom piece, I just made it like a channel. Let's see. It's got a little lip on either side. The one on this side is 90 degrees. This one is about 60, 70, something like that. You can ply this out if you need to. So made out of 063. Now, this is my back wall. I made this a little bit shorter. Doesn't have to be that tall because the rods are not going to poke up there. They're going to come down here. But this goes inside of there 21 inches, and that gives them about 8'1", 8'2" inches in here. So I don't know if he's going to be able to pull this out. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get it in there. It's going to be tough, but if I get it in there, and it's really hard, I'm probably just gonna go ahead and install it. He can reach up in there and put this turf in here. I've done it that way before, not impossible. If I can get in there and dig that foam out of there, ain't no reason he can't put this turf in here while it's installed. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in here, and then we'll get on to finishing up this framework. I did make this hatch for this, so once I get this installed, I'll show you guys that. Let's get back to work. All right, so I decided to go ahead and make this piece permanent because it was a little hard to get in there, and I just needed to be in there because I got to run this vertical sheet in here, and he's not gonna be able to get this out. So he'll be able to get in there and turf that, and that works out perfectly. The thing is solid, and it's gonna be nice. It gives him lots of room for his rods now. Look, this is the day box hatch I was talking about. This is gonna drop in right here. And obviously I already made these 2, and those are at the powder coaters. This was kind of like a last minute thing. So I'm gonna have to ship him this one. It is done, and tomorrow I'm gonna go pick these 2 up, drop this one off. I'll just ship it to him. But without having this here, this would have just been a blanked off sheet of 1/8 inch aluminum, which would have been fine, but this adds a lot more character to it. It looks a whole lot cooler, and he's got some more storage in here. And the way that works out, you see it's well up there in the top of that rod locker. So it's not going to interfere with his rods at all. And he's got another 2.5 inches of space underneath here, and then the lid actually sticks up 1 inch from that. So it's about 3.5 inches of space in there. So you can put some of his soft plastics, you know, his discharge of some of the baits that he doesn't want to put away right away, but he wants to get, you know, off of the deck. So toss them in here. Put your wallet, keys in there. You can even add some little dividers in here if you want to. So you got different compartments for different stuff. But I like this little day box. Definitely comes in handy when you're out on the water. Now that this is done, I have to do the vertical walls in this piece, and I got to do them over there too. But before I can do that, I got to dig some more of this godforsaken foam out of here. So I'm going to cut this strip of foam out, put my angle on the bottom, and put all of my pieces in here for my vertical supports. And then I have the sheeting for this also, so I can come back and sheet the outside of both of these. Then I got to install a recessed foot pedal tray for his trolling motor up there. The one that he got is from Baldwin Ironworks. Now, I seen this about a couple months ago, and I'm not gonna lie, that thing's pretty dope. I'm kind of jealous that I didn't think about it. Foot pedal tray, I mean, it's dope, man. I'm gonna show you guys this. I wish I had come up with the idea, but they did, and it's sweet. And I was really shocked when it came from an ironworks company. I was like, is this thing made out of steel? This is the first time that I've actually seen one firsthand, but I did see some of these in other rigs and stuff online. I went and looked them up, and it's sweet. It's a recessed foot pedal tray with a graph bridge and a beauty ring all built in. I'll show it to you. It's simple the way it's put together, and it's dope, guys. Damn it, the thing is sweet, man. They did a good job with this thing, and I like it. Anyways, I'm gonna put you guys back on a hyperlapse. Let's get some of this stuff done, and then we'll circle back and see what's going on. Let's get back to work. All right, guys, so check out this recessed foot pedal tray. Now, this is the one from Baldwin Ironworks, and this thing is sweet. I mean, look, this is the one that he got in this bottom left picture, and that one right there, it has the graph on it. I mean, I do actually like this a lot. It's pretty sick. It's simple made. I mean, this pan doesn't have the corners filled in, which is fine because the beauty ring covers it, and it makes it easy to do this because you know, you can make this out of one piece, burn it out, bend it up, and then obviously you wouldn't have corners in here, which is how this is made. Now, filling those corners takes time. You got to weld it. You know, these are welded on the sides, but you cut your hole, drop that in, and then this goes on top. It's got a hole for your cable to come out of, cup holder, some plier holders in here. Your screws line up with these holes inside of here. They go right down through there to hold this whole thing as one unit. Then you got these pieces here. These are like triangular side pieces that mount onto the side of this. And then this whole piece has the universal hole pattern in it, just like my graph bridges do. And it mounts right on top of it like that. So you can mount your graph onto it. I mean, this thing is pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie, I like this. I'm getting ready to install this now. Food for thought. If you want to install any type of foot pedal tray, I suggest that you put a seat in, sit down, and figure out what's going to be best for you and where you want to have your foot where you're comfortable. Now, if you're using a butt seat, you may want it to be a little bit closer because it's like a leaning post type seat. You know, it might be more comfortable to be closer. Now, if you're sitting down, you got to take into consideration that you got the whole width of the seat and then your leg bent coming down. Now, if you're going to use a regular seat, like a butt seat or a captain's chair, my normal go-to is I come off the front of this piece now about 7.5 inches. That's where I make my cutout. Now that seems to be a happy medium for what's pretty comfortable. And that puts you at about like 9.5 center from this hole, maybe even 10, anywhere in that ballpark, you're probably gonna be okay. I'm gonna go 7.5 from the face of this base for his seat base out, draw my line, square it up, cut this hole out, and then we'll circle back and check it out. It also comes with a template, which makes it a whole lot easier. Literally, just sit this up there where you want it, trace around it. Obviously, we're gonna double check it, but I think that it's gonna work. Put you guys back on the hyperlapse. Let's get back to work. All right, guys, she's all done. Now, I didn't install his foot pedal tray. I put that in the box and put it away because he's gonna obviously put turf in here and put that in permanently, but we did get the hole cut for him. Now, one thing you saw me doing in the last video, I cut a piece to go in here. You see how he did that? That finishes it off so you don't see any of those 1-inch square tube verticals in here. That's something he asked me to do, so we did it. Now, I did the rod locker the same way. I didn't have enough material at my house, and obviously I'm getting ready to take this boat to Austin in like 15 minutes, so I did what I could. I put a 4-foot piece in there. He can come back and put another 2-foot piece to get him up to this deck if he wants to, but that does finish it off. It looks kind of cool. I mean, it's an option. It's something we can do. I don't really think it's necessary. I mean, I don't think that 1-inch tube coming up like that is really an eyesore. To me, I usually just turf right on around it and keep going. It's just extra weight in there, but it does finish it off good. These 2 hatches, powder coater did not get them done, so I'm gonna have to ship him both of those hatches. The one up front, I'm gonna have to take that one and get that one powder coated and ship that to him too. But I did install all the hatches in the back deck. Now, I just put them in with 1 rivet in each corner because he's gonna take these out and paint all up inside of here, and he's gonna turf this whole thing. So I got his stuff up inside of here. He's got all of his handles are in there too. We got 7 handles going in this thing, but it looks good, man. It's sick. These kits work out perfectly with these trackers. Nice big deck. I know it's not ideal that I don't have all these hatches and it's not finished, but this is it. This is all I could do for him. It's going to New Jersey. Austin's leaving at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's about 9:30 right now, so I gotta put a ratchet strap on this. We're not going to be tying it up with the dock lines like it came here, and then we're going to send this thing down the road. Now, I did weld this puck on the back, so he's got something for his transducer. And over here you can check out this rod locker. You can see how I put the sheet inside of here too, and that finishes that off. It looks good, but I only had a 4-foot piece. I mean, that gets him where the hatch is at. If he's just looking for aesthetics, that's probably all he really needs, but it turned out sick. And once he gets the hatches, he'll just drop all his hatches in here and he'll be ready to roll. Paint this thing first and then install all these hatches, get some turf in this bad boy. It's going to be a sweet little rig. I mean, all in all, the setup is spot on. The only thing he doesn't have is a live well, but he said he doesn't tournament fish. He just wants to be comfortable. So rod locker, day box, big storage box, 2 big storage compartments here, and then he's got a big storage compartment in the back. Now look inside of here. All those white boxes are his handles, but there's a tray inside of there. I welded that tray up and I installed that into the bottom right there, and that's going to hold some of his lithium batteries that are going to sit in there. All in all, the thing turned out dope. I'm tired. Austin and I turfed this entire rig over here this morning, and after he left, I finished all the work up on this, and I've been working for about 14 hours right now. So yeah, I'm getting to that point. The shitty thing is now I got to take this thing, pull it out, hook it up to the truck, and drive it over to Austin's house and hook it up to his truck because he's asleep. He's leaving at 3 a.m. So yeah, I got to do that by myself. But the shitty part about this, check this out. It's freaking snowing, man. Are you kidding me? Nice. We got a good ½ inch out here now. It's been snowing for a minute, so it's gonna be fun. Never been to Austin's house before, but I'm toting a boat over there in a snowstorm. First time I get to go to his house. Alright. I'm gonna get this thing hooked up, and we're gonna go drop this off at Austin's house. Alright guys, so it's late, it's dark outside, and it's snowing. And I gotta take this damn boat over to Austin's house right now. Wish me luck, guys. I'm gonna call this video right here because I don't feel like filming anymore. I'm trying to get this done so I can get to sleep. But I will see you guys on the next one. I appreciate y'all watching. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this one. I guarantee you that I will have pictures and maybe even some more videos or something of this boat once it's completed. because I've talked to the customer about it and I'd like to see what it looks like. And I'm pretty positive that he's pumped about doing it, and he's going to want to share pictures of what it looks like when it's done. Anyways, guys, I'll see you on the next one. Let's get back to work.